We take our seats. I want to request Reverend Evans Miranga to kindly come and open for us with a word of prayer.
Thank you very much. Good morning. God is good, and all the time. Shall we pray? Everlasting Father, in the name of Jesus, we are truly grateful this morning for the gift of life and health. Thank you for the opportunity you've given us to meet. We want to thank you, Lord, for the wonderful world that you gave us so that we can take care of it for us and even for the future generations. Thank you for the gift of each one of us this morning. Lord, as we begin our meeting, this session, and all that is aligned for this meeting, we invite your presence and your power. Guide us, O God, in all our deliberations. Bless all the speakers that will come and speak here, O God. Continue to bless all of us. And this we ask in the name of God the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
You may take your seats. I think as we take our seats, you might as well acknowledge, this is personal though, that after keenly listening to the anthem and you're not a member, something happens to you, and you desire to go and be a member. It's asking the question, I am a member, are you one? You know, maybe we should actually do it. Ask the person sitting next to you, are you one? Thank you so much once again, and good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen, all distinguished guests, partners, fellow colleagues, and everybody in the house today. I want to say, a very warm welcome to all of you and karibuni sana. And we're gathered here once again in this picturesque, as you can see, we are at the Karura, the beautiful place. We normally call it or dub it the lungs of Nairobi. And so we're able to breathe very fresh air. As you can see, that's why everybody's smiling, even with the chilly weather. So once again, I want to welcome you all as we gather to celebrate the launch of the 2023 Sustainability Report, themed A Sustainable World is a Transformed Africa, which is really the heart of why we are here today. And this is not just a report, as when I see you normally puts it across, that this is a reflection of the journey that equity has been taken, and together as a journey rooted to the heart for our beloved country, our beloved Africa as well, with an aim of transforming the very fabric of our society. So in short, we are here just not only to witness the unveiling of something truly special, but also something that truly reflects to the vision of Equity Group, but also the aspirations of many lives that touch across this great continent. Now, Equity Group has always and has been not just a financial institution, but it's a symbol of progress. And if you really follow like I do, when you check on the equity pages and some of their actions and what they do, you will acknowledge really that it's not just about the finances that we really focus on, but there's a lot of work in progress, hope, commitment, community, and a lot of work that is being done to making an impact that matters most. So today, and our theme of A Sustainable World is a Transformed Africa will set that commitment again. So I want to request, really with a humble appeal to all of you, let us all give a big, warm Kenyan applause as we celebrate this moment together. Welcome, please, and welcome in this moment. Some quick house rules, if I may. Those are the washrooms, the ones I'm pointing right there. If you need to use them, please walk in there. And we also have the Wi-Fi. So if I could have my screen up, it will help me at least to direct this particular thing so that people can get to know. One more thing is that, most of the times when we have these events in buildings, we have to check whether there's a planned fire drill so that people don't just break their legs anyhow. What I know from the security here, there is none planned. But in case of any, you can tell all the exits are open. We are really in a nice place. So just in case of anything like that. So that's very good. So that's the Wi-Fi. If you need to use, I know a few people are asking. So if you need to access that, it's the River Cafe wireless, and that's the password, River Cafe 123. And because most of us here really don't use public Wi-Fi, I know you have yours. I know I'll be indulging you into this, and I'm about to check you out and see whether you're doing that. So we have a hashtag given by the media team, and that's the hashtag today. It's Equity Sustainability Report 2023. You know, I must say this. I think this country needs no extra preaching about the importance of getting digital and that digital communications go far and wide. So that's why we have that hashtag. And hashtags, as I keep saying, they're meant to be used. So if we don't use it, the media team may have zero reports. But it's also a record of telling people that in 2023, there was a report by Equity Group. So why don't you use it now? The simplest way is actually to take a selfie with a person sitting next to you, a groupie, something like that. So I was given a whole minute to do that. So I'm going to wait for a whole minute for you to do it. There you go. So please do that. You can have a negotiation of the person with the best camera, something of that sort. It's all right. It's all right. There you go. So please do that. Please do that. Yeah. And the photographers are checked. Thank you. That's a brilliant one. I love that. I've been given permission to say that the first person to tweet is going to get 100,000 shillings worth of. Do it first, then I'll tell you. There you go. So, Equity Sustainability Report 2023. There you go. Excellent. I love this. I think this is a professional selfie taker. You know that? Yes. So please share. And even as we go on through the day, if you have something that really captures you, or that, it is important that you share this conversation. I must give a caution though. When you take a selfie with someone, especially of the opposite gender, it's good to post it. You don't want to go later on and start answering questions of what you're doing with pictures of people in this era. That's by the way. Thank you once again, and I want to appreciate this moment. Let me check whether people managed to log in and to have the conversation with us. And I want just to do a quick check-in with people. Please go to your phone and type this slido.com, and that's the passcode. Just do that. Just Google and just type slido.com. And immediately you are in there, we'll be able to check in whether some people are in. So the hashtag there, or the number to put, is 1676797. Let me move a bit so that people can see on the screen. I thought I had a wireless mic, sorry. So it's 1676797. There you go. Oh, thank you. Wow. Yeah, there you go. So 1676797. Please just check in and see what you can give us there. Who is in the room? Just name an organization, just in a way of appreciating that we have people in the house. I also was cautioned that sometimes the internet here may be a bit slower because we are in the forest. How else would you know you're in the forest if the internet was working so well? So just check it in there, and I hope you managed to get in. If you did, just say yes if you did. Excellent. I only had one. Yes. Excellent. Yes. Great. There you go. So John is here. Robobank. Welcome. Moses Nyabanda. Wangoi Kaniori from ALN Kenya. Thank you so much. NSC is here. Is it the chairman? Just check it. Ambassador Macharia, thank you so much. And it's good to see you as well. So only 5 people have managed. Do not worry. I think we are taken up. So don't worry. It's slido.com and 1676797. Why is it important? It's because during the day we have an amazing program, and I'll tell you this, we have amazing panelists who will be in here and who will be helping us as well in some of the discussions we shall have. I know some of the people are still trying to log in. It's okay. The Wi-Fi sometimes can do that. I have a quick question to ask you, even as we do that. And check it out. What do you think will have the greatest impact on achieving a sustainable future in Africa? And I really want to appreciate that we had the Africa Climate Summit the other day. And I want to appreciate that Equity Group took the lead in bringing in the private sector voice. And we had a session where we were asking that question. Please, this is not an exam. It's a way of just thinking. What do you think will have the greatest impact on achieving a sustainable future? I know the results would have streamed live, but we are still doing this because of the Wi-Fi. But yes, what are your questions? I'll be able to share with you all those things. So feel free, it's still on your screen. You just check it and tell me what you think will have the greatest impact on achieving a sustainable future in Africa. Is it investing in renewable energies? Is it strengthening financial inclusion, enhancing education and skills development? Is it advancing climate smart agriculture, or is it building resilient infrastructure? If you had that, thank you so much for your responses. I'll be sharing with you those things later on. And one final question, just to open us and help us understand that we are here to really have these kind of discussions. I can see my connections is coming back. What is this? What about this question? Which of the following challenges do you think poses the biggest obstacle to sustainability efforts in Africa? And we want to applaud the efforts being done by the private sector, especially the banking sector, and we are here courtesy of Equity Group. And the question is, what is the greatest challenge that you think poses the biggest obstacle to sustainability efforts in Africa? I'm sure you'll be able to give in your answer as they come in. There you go. And I'll be giving you some of these results as we do, because we have the house full of people who have experienced these things and are able to help us in. My name is Maina Chege. As usual, if you like, you can take the first 2 syllables of my name, MNC, and I'll be what? Your MC today. Thank you so much for having me. And because my chairman is here, when I see you, if you allow me, I must say something, because he normally asks a question. We normally have sessions on the Trading Bell Show a day like this tonight at 7:30. Daktari will be having that session as well. And that's what we do every single time when we have these discussions about what's happening. Thank you so much for that. And at this moment, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome, with a beautiful round of applause, Dr. James Mwang himself, the visionary. A round of applause to him as he comes to take us through this session.
It's really a pleasure to have you in the house. Standing here and looking on my right, those who can see that wall, is a portrait of the late Professor Wangari Maathai. Somebody, when you come to Karura, if you are a Kenyan, you fondly remember. I want to urge you, we stand for a moment in honor of Professor Wangari Maathai. May the good Lord rest her soul in peace. Thank you. If you are new in Kenya, try and find who Professor Wangari, the Nobel laureate, was, and particularly her role in preservation of this great Karura forest. She fought a singular fight to have this forest, and it's really good to see her daughter, Wajela, continuing with the work in the same vein. Thank you very much. As we had, and I'm glad that we prayed the Equity Anthem and sang it together. As you can see, we are brought together, united by equity for a common purpose of changing lives. We've been doing this for the last 40 years. This is our 40th anniversary. But what we have realized is that financial services are not enough, adequate, or sufficient to change people's lives. There is much more if you can do it sustainably. And it's for that reason that we invited you to purpose with us, to join with us, to become united with us for that common purpose, so that we can do the transformation or changing of lives sustainably. And I underline the word sustainably. Each of us has a huge role if the purpose of equity is to be achieved sustainably. We need to ensure the environment in which people are living is supportive of a sustainable life. It must be done in a particular way that it enhances the quality of the environment and hence sustainability. So it's with great pressure I recognize all of you. It's very difficult to single anybody given the commitment you have shown this morning to be with us. When you look at the room from here, and I'm privileged, I can call almost everybody by name. It's a very impressive gathering in the morning. And I'm glad that our team, led by Joy, believed that the best place to launch this 2023 sustainability report is in Karura. We hope beyond launching the report will inspire you to think more about sustainability. As our MC said, the environment feels so good. The air is so fresh because somebody made a step of faith and acted to have this forest conserved and protected for many years. So I recognize all of you, very esteemed guests. I'm grateful that you responded to our invitation. But allow me to recognize Zainab Bagula, the Secretary General and Director General of United Nations, Wajira Mathai, MD of World Resource Institute, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, we're grateful to see all of you represented, our Chairman of Equity Group and the entire board of Kenya and the group, young environmentalist, Baraka Morore. Morore, where are you? We lost you. Very good. Young Morore, thank you very much for joining us this, and all our distinguished guests, industry captains, CEOs, managing directors, equity partners, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, on behalf of Equity Group, I once again express our great pleasure to welcome you to this launch of the Equity Group's 2023 Sustainability Report. But as Maina said, while this is our third report, sustainability is a journey. And for us, the 40 years has been a journey of sustainability. We didn't call it sustainability then, but we called it inclusion. We wanted financial inclusion. That's how our understanding of a sustainable world was. We wanted everybody to have a bank account. 40 years looking back, and 40 is a very symbolic year, if you remember, in history. We have moved from 4% financial inclusion in Kenya to over 90% financial inclusion. And that is why we celebrate the dreams coming true. Everybody can fulfill their dreams because they can be allocated financial services. That was our initial understanding of what sustainability was. But our theme today talked about a transformed Africa. A sustainable world is a transformed Africa. And we asked ourselves, endowed with so much resources, particularly land. And for us, those who went to economics class, we were told the factors of production are land, labor, and capital. You can't beat Africa in any of the three. It has, you can feed, I understand, Ambassador, Western Europe, you can feed America, you can feed China, India, and be left with the space to feed in New Zealand, on the landmass of Africa. You look at population, it's not only 1.3 billion, but the fastest growing population, with a hard raised that by 2050, Africa will claim to be home to 26% of the world population. And then capital in terms of natural resources, you can't beat Africa. Look at unutilized arable land, 65% of the world reserve. Look at renewable energy, 62% of the world reserve. And then we will start asking strategic minerals. You hear cobalt, 70% of the world reserves. And you start then wondering, with all that capital, why is Africa not transforming? And somebody told us, maybe the thing that is lacking is leadership. And it's leadership of all shades, entrepreneurship, political leadership. So we started a program that would see development of leaders. And it was very simple. You pick the best boy and the best girl where you have a branch. And today we have 200 branches in Kenya. So we pick 500 kids every year, put them in the bank for a year, grill them, the best of the best. They must be in the 0.01 percentile of the entire country's brain. So far, we have picked 17,000, taken them through the bank. All of them have made it to the universities. 970 has gone to global universities. 218 have gone to Ivy League schools. And we still believe now most of them are between the age of 20 and 40. They will be the agents of change. But they can't do it alone. They need a committed and engaged population. And so we now have embarked on sensitizing and taking what one would call a thought leadership position to rally the world to these potential leaders to help Africa transform so that the world becomes sustainable. That has been part of our journey. But about 2008, we realized all these 17,000 leaders came from the middle income. And one of our directors asked, we thought intelligence is equally distributed. How comes? And we realized somehow the very underprivileged never made it to school because secondary education needed to be paid. And that's how Wings to Fly program was started. Today, we have 60,000 kids under the Wings to Fly program from the very bottom of the pyramid. So we have inverted the program of the possibility of the future leaders. They have transited. 23 of them have made it to university. So between 17 and 23, you can guess we are now close to 40,000 kids in university, very gifted. And we really believe that leadership that believes in a sustainable world is what will help such that it's led by policy, not corporate, not individual initiative. Those are important. But we need an umbrella strategy that would bring. So that was our earlier understanding. Well, we realized if we have to wait for 40 years for these leaders to mature, what would we be doing in the meantime? And that is how we then focused on changing lives, focusing on agriculture, focusing on entrepreneurship. I don't want to talk about those. We all know the Law Equity has done, particularly with the Young Africa program. So our sustainability is outside. Most of it is not just access to financial inclusion, is de-risking people and capacitating people so that they can live sustainable lives. We have 3.8 million peasant farmers who have turned into agribusinesses. The quality of life completely transformed. We have 5.4 million households that is, together with the UN agencies, 24 partners, we support 5.4 households that cannot be supported by the economic agents. They need to be supported for a while. And that creates a more equitable world, or give everybody a chance and an opportunity. That's what we did for many years. And then came the big question. Every effort we were doing in agriculture, in enterprises, we started seeing adverse effect on them. And then the issue of climate and emissions became a central concern to the group. And we said everything we had done was not sustainable. It was good to do, but it was not sustainable because it was in one way contributing to emissions, and economic activities were contributing. So we started the race of reversing that. To date, 680 households, we have helped them to transit from using wood fuel to renewable energy. Those are some of the things a report will be talking about. Small-scale farmers, we have put millions of them using adaptation and mitigation finance to be able to cope with those needs. As you can see, all these things are outside financial services. And that is why we want to ask you to join us in this journey of transforming Africa to make the world sustainable. If it is 25% of the world population, 20% of the landmass, it defines the world. Whichever way you look at it, it defines. If it's 25% of the population, it defines the world. And if we transform Africa sustainably, we'll have a sustainable world. So Equity's humble initiatives can only make a slight contribution. But like-minded people, if we team together, work together, rallied together, we could be able to push the needle. And that explains why we have put all these together into a plan we are calling the African Recovery and Resilience Plan. It has all these initiatives that give everybody a chance to play a role. And we are very excited. The reason why I can call most of you by name is because you are partners in one way or another. We are working with you. The concerted effort have led us now to have an integrated approach, not a silo approach. And when you have an integrated approach, it becomes easy to work together. We are aligning our thoughts, our actions, and in the process, we are becoming a great force for change. We want to thank you for the gift of partnership. We want to really recognize that you have allowed us to humanize ourselves by going beyond finances and trade, to care about humanity and to care about environment. But much needs to be done. So again, as we give you this report and scorecard, we are asking, can we improve our score by working together on pertinent areas that you have strengths and capabilities? It's the entire spectrum of life that we need to rethink how to engage and how to do. Each of us has a role we can play in our daily calls to make this big difference in the world that we live. The biggest challenge of our generation is to leave the world better. And I close by asking you just to think through, because I've been thinking about my life. I grew up in a rural village. And every time I go back to that rural village, it's completely different. The 5 streams within the neighborhood of a small Shaba have all dried. The big trees that we used to take shade on no longer exist. The butterflies that I played with and ran around no longer exist for my children to play with. What about my grandchildren? I don't know whether your village is like my village. If it is like my village, then that is the measure of change that has occurred in just one lifetime, in one generation. If what has happened in Nyagatogo village happens again during my children, chances Nyagatogo village will be a desert. Because the rivers have dried, the fauna and flora has completely transformed, the macro environment that was there has completely changed. And if that is true of all the villages that we all come from, the world has really significantly transformed. So it's not much about this report. This report is what it is, and is the past. It's about what we can do together for equity is doing its part. If you do your part, then the aggregate of our initiatives will be able to change the world. And so this breakfast was not free. This breakfast will be paid by you teaming up with us to change the world. How many are willing to pay the bill for the breakfast? Then I rest my case there. And thank you most sincerely, because this subject needs to be constantly talked about so that people become more aware, and small examples of what we have witnessed in one generation will make us wake up and think about it. As I close this report, I saw Leshma Shah. Leshma, where are you? Leshma, come forward. Leshma played a very huge role in laying the foundation of the sustainable report that we see and helping us to understand. I was very lucky that both of us are accountants. And so I saw these accountants who understood environment, nature, and said, help me understand. Fortunately, she helped me understand in accounting words and said, James, be the first adopter of nature reporting. Oh, I see, reporting is accounting. Little did I know I'd been made accountable of what I'm responsible for. I hope the same message will come to you, to be accountable for what you are responsible for, and how what you are accountable for is responding and seeking nature. Where is Oscar? Yeah, well, Leshma started this report, and you can see she's still coming to hold me accountable. She has handed over to Oscar, and Oscar completed the report, though in just 2 weeks that he has been in the group. So these two, our team leaders, now she's an ambassador of equity with FSD. Yep. A partner, worked with FSD, MD 20 years ago. We celebrated our friendship for 20 years. So that musical share of people moving from is very important. Kindly take the message to the world. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Let's appreciate him one more time with a beautiful round of applause. There you go. Oscar was whispering to me, should I do a handshake? And I said, yeah, it's okay. It's all right. I mean, we are fond of it here. Thank you once again. I want to appreciate all our online participants who are really sharing some of the remarks. I think Soko Analyst is in the house sharing a lot of remarks from Daktari. Where are you, Soko Analyst? I think you deserve that 100. Excellent. There you go. You know, giving some of the comments that financial services are not enough to change lives of people in Africa on a sustainable level, and giving the credits to Daktari. Thank you so much. So let's the conversation keep going. And in the house, we have a special guest. And I want to request that you put your hands together as we invite Baraka Mwirore, who is Mr. Little, or Mr. Environment Kenya 2023. A round of applause to him, Baraka. May I have that microphone, please? Pass me that microphone. Baraka, come. And Baraka is amazing.
Good morning, everyone. I'll start with a question. Does anyone know what climate change is? Climate change is the change of weather in a period of time of 30 to 35 years, and when it continues, it can lead to something known as global warming. Global warming is when emissions and gases are too much in our environment for even our skin to bear, or even crops to bear. That's why most crops dry up, leading for us as children not to get food. So, I'll start off now. I am Baraka Mori. I am a passionate climate change ambassador, and I am currently championing the Go Green with Baraka initiative with the aim of planting millions of trees and spreading awareness on climate change and its effects. As we all know, that climate change has really been an issue in Africa, but what can you do about it? That's why I'm planting trees. And the reason why I'm planting trees is because trees take in carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrogen and release clean and pure gas. I would like you to pause and look around at the environment that we're in. Is it good? And this was because that each and every person, especially Wangare Maathai, fought for this forest. I started my journey 3 years ago, and since then I have planted 7,900 trees with the help of White Star Academy, my school. And I would like to say that it has not been easy. I have had my ups and downs, because I have to balance school and even planting trees. And this has been really helpful because my school is really supportive. Even today, they allowed me to stay and come here to this event to teach about how children are being affected on climate change. And I would like each and every one of you to hear attentively. When it's dry, children lack resources, causing them not to go to school. And even us children were starving. Our animals are dying, and we need to do something as it. So, if you are born in Africa, or if you come from any other country, you can support us by planting a tree or two in its name. Thank you, and let me continue with my speech. As we all know, climate change has been an issue in our environment. So what can we do about it? As I said, we can plant trees. Most people will think we just came here to plant trees and go home. But if you don't take care of those trees, what will be the importance of planting the trees? The trees will dry up and it will be no use in the environment. So we need to take up, just as you train a child and on manners, as my mother has taught me, you can also train up a tree to grow in the right way. And this will help us to save our earth from climate change. So let us all come together each and every day to take up a time to plant a tree or two. And let us all go green with Baraka. Thank you.
Baraka, I want Baraka never to forget this moment, because all these people, they're CEOs representing here, chairpersons of big corporates, and they're going to give you a standing ovation and a clap so that you can continue championing on this. Ladies and gentlemen, let's appreciate Baraka one more time. Well done, well done. Pass by Daktari there. He's going to give you a handshake. That is power to keep changing lives. Thank you so much. You may have your seats. A high five. There you go. Well done. Well done. Well done. Wow. That's moving. I think at this moment is where I ask guys, turn to the person sitting next to you and ask them, how many trees have you grown? Baraka's is 700, right? You say 700? 700 trees. 7,000. 7,000 trees. Thank you so much. I know I may have made some people to sin by saying some number, please. It's okay. We still have a chance to do that. Thank you so much, Baraka, for that. For the ones who are wondering, I asked the question of not planted, but grown. There's a difference, and you'll learn that later. Thank you so much once again. That was a great moment. We are going to listen right now to the diplomatic representatives, and we're going to listen to Arnaud Sekou, who is the ambassador of France. He's in the house. A round of applause to him as he comes as well to say a few words. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, and good morning all. I'm afraid I'm not going to be as eloquent as the previous ambassador. Well done to him, I think, Piga makofi tena. Daktari James, Rafiki yangu, all the equity team and fraternity, Your Excellency Zainab, Director General of the UN, Wanjira, mabalozi wote, hamjamboni. Now, it's a great pleasure to be here today and to be invited. I just want to commend Equity for hosting your launch of your sustainability report here in Karura Forest, for the very reasons that Dr. James has said. There's a meaning, I think, of doing it here in Karura, paying tribute to a great Kenyan leader, late Prof. Wangari Maathai. And I will say it's not only a Kenyan leader, it's an African leader, but also, I think, a global leader. So I think we all feel indebted as we sit here in Karura by the work that has been done. It's also, for me, as the representative of France, a special moment to be here in River Café, because back in 2019, you were here, Balozi, we hosted the first One Forest Summit, which was an attempt to mobilize the international community to protect our forest. So there's a true meaning to do it here in Karura. And so, well done, Pongezi Equity, for doing it here. As I don't want to add too much to what has been eloquently said by Dr. James, I think we share the vision of transforming towards a more sustainable and better world. Let me just say that back in the days, our president said the agent of change, mainly in Africa but elsewhere, for transforming the world towards a more sustainable one, we need to rely not only on governments, but on the private sector. And the private sector, meaning, is a powerful agent of change and transforming society. And sometimes, us bureaucrats, we are talking about that, Balozi, we sometimes overestimate the intervention of a public sector of governments, which is needed, but it's not sufficient. So at that time, the president said, I want to put 2 billion euros into supporting the African private sector, because we believe there will be an agent of change for transforming. And for the very reason you mentioned, because Africa is important. It's important to us, it's important to the world. And when it came to Kenya, the natural partner for France, through Propaco, which is our development financing, was naturally Equity Bank. I think for the reason you mentioned, because you have, for years, and you have succeeded to strive for financial inclusion, bringing people into the formal sector, and sort of upgrading their sense of entrepreneurship. And this is more theoretical, but then after a couple of years when we launched this program, I was receiving slides like, the bankers know. We know how to do it, numbers. And I just asked, and then I went to Dr. James. I said, it's just not enough. I want to see qua ground what we have been doing. And then I challenged my friend James. And then he said, fine, Balozi, but you're going to get your shoes dirty, my friend. I said, let's go for it. And I'm just telling you as a testimony. And so James didn't bring me to any hotels or any, to meet some very eloquent, well-spoken young entrepreneur. He brought me to Dandora, to the dumping site. And he told me, you're going to see the true spirit of Kenyan entrepreneurship here in Dandora. I I said, fine, I'll get my shoes dirty with you. And what I've seen was very an eye-opening. Through this program, we supported through this partnership that we had with Equity. Equity was able to give to this young fellow, Kenyan educated, he didn't go abroad, a loan to start his business. And his business was the following. He was getting and employing actually 500 young men and women picking the garbage, the plastic, in the dumping site, and then recycling those plastic into plastic use for hospital. And I said, this is really making an impact. And I think through this example, I think you were addressing the very issues you were mentioning that are, I think, utterly critical for transforming societies. Addressing climate change, but also youth empowerment. So for that, I tell you, and I tell the group, Equity Group, asante sana. And to your question whether we are ready to continue the partnership into building a more sustainable world, I say tuko tayari, pamoja tunaweza. Asanteni sana.
Merci beaucoup. Let's appreciate him one more time. That's the farthest my French can go, and I'm amazed at his Swahili prowess. Asante sana. In the same spirit, in the house as well, we have the World Resources Institute MD Africa Division. Please put your hands together for Wanjira Mathai. A round of applause to her as she comes.
Thank you, MC, and thank you, Dr. Mwang. As always, so good to be here with the Equity family. Oh, wow, everybody's here. It's beautiful to see all of you. I always remember when Equity started. I was young then, and I remember being told that this is a bank that is believing in the unbankable and doing things in a way nobody thought possible then. And look at you now, so congratulations. And thank you for bringing us to Karura. You know how much I love to be here. This legacy that my mother left us all, if you think for a minute, 30 years ago plus, the foresight is almost unimaginable. And the high expectations that she had of us, for us, is something that we have to keep front and center. Baraka, it's great to see you. It was nice planting a tree with you. Dr. Mwangi, you mentioned the Africa Climate Summit, and the Africa Climate Summit that we held here in Kenya last year was in many ways a milestone in a shifting mindset of who we as Africans have to start to think of ourselves as. You also mentioned the potential that we see in Africa across the world in resources, in the youngest and fastest growing workforce in the world, and also the abundance of renewable energy. And yet, our reality should be different. A lot of what is in the sustainability report, and really thank you, Equity, because you are a frontrunner and you continue to be a frontrunner, remain the frontrunner, changing and challenging the monotony of how we think. But I want to remind all of us today that we are living in fascinating times. The young people of this country, especially in the political awakening that we saw and in the youth revolution, must be brought into every single room, because what they are telling us today is that they expect the highest of our political accountability, but also of the abundance of opportunity that is before us. And in many ways, banks like yours stand at the cusp of making this possible. I spoke last week in Europe with partners who asked, what could the European Union do? What could partnerships like this do for you? And I said, partnerships like this must begin to change the mindset of what you think is possible on a continent like ours. Because I suggest to you that what is actually killing us, in addition to climate change and the urgency of climate change that demands that we think differently and fast, is this mindset that we have set of a prevailing and single narrative that I say is extremely dangerous because it paints Africa as poor, fast-growing, with absolutely great potential. Imagine the word potential actually suggests that it is not achievable. Potential suggests that it's there, it's great, it can be seen from a distance. We must begin to think of that and shift that narrative and focus on an Africa not in the future, in the present. Think about Africa today, what's possible, not about the potential, but the abundance that is available today. What is possible now? And that's what our young people are saying. We need to think about the abundance of opportunity today. And even to name another is to begin to think of ourselves not as consumers, not as suppliers of raw materials, but as producers. I sat with Dr. Mwang earlier and I said, in all of the noise that we are hearing about financial distress, debt, and some of us are not accountants, so we don't understand that language. What we understand is that poverty is killing us, and it's driving the vulnerability to climate change in a way that is getting worse and worse every single day. And so economic growth for us as a country is the number one priority. But if we have all of those resources and all of those opportunities, then our reality should be different. And so we must change that narrative that insists on the tyranny of low expectations and start to think of ourselves completely different and to demand of greater expectations and in the partnerships that we have. I want to suggest to you that I'm a smallholder farmer myself. I started a small project with my family because we wanted to see, is it possible to activate an agricultural value chain? That's one of the priorities you have. We have the fastest growing and some of the best entrepreneurs in the farmers in this country and across the continent. 80% of all farmers are actually women in the world, but they're also the poorest and the hungriest. How is that possible? So I wanted to see, is it possible? So I started in a small patch of land about this size, growing what called golden berries, and I said, let me see if I can do that. And if it works, I'll invite my neighbors to come and do it. Ladies and gentlemen, before I had even started digging, 50 women had come on the land and they were saying, can we be part of this project? We understand you're doing something, we want in. These entrepreneurs are ready, they have the know-how, they have the knowledge, but we so rarely believe in their potential. And so as Equity is thinking about sustainability into the future, to set those expectations really high. If we don't crack through economic prosperity for more people, we will continue to see that. The latest report we saw from the IPCC, those of us who follow climate, told us that we will continue to be 15 times more vulnerable to climate shocks like we saw with flooding and everything else, and it's going to get worse 15 times on the basis of economics alone. That means the Netherlands, which is below sea level, will always be more cushioned, 15 times more cushioned than a country like Bangladesh or a country like ours, purely on the basis of economics. So we've got to double down, and I'm happy to be here this morning because it is investors and institutional investors like these that will catalyze the transformation. I love your anthem as well. It talks about the transformation of lives. And whatever we do in this room, all of us, everything we're doing, if we're not transforming lives, then we are not really making a difference. So thank you so much, Equity, for having me here. I hope you will join me in banishing the tyranny of low expectations. We have a lot ahead of us, and I hope that Equity will continue to be on the front lines. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wanjira Maathai. Much appreciated. Finally, on the keynotes, we have in the house the Undersecretary General and Director General of the United Nations Office in Nairobi. Put your hands together for Zainab Bangura as she comes as well to address us. And just to remind you that if you keep clapping, you'll be warmer. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. MC, Minor, my friend, brother, James, and His Excellency Mr. Arnold Sikwe. You say French ambassador to Kenya. We say permanent representative of Kenya to the United Nations. So he has two titles. And members of the diplomatic corps and colleagues from the UN, board and management of Equity Group, Wanjira, Baraka, distinguished guests, members of staff of Equity, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Allow me to start by thanking the board and management of Equity Group for inviting me as guest of honor at the launch of your 2023 Sustainable Report. The intervention, as we have already had and seen, of Equity Group in the area of corporate sustainability are commendable. And in many ways, they mirror the multifaceted work of the United Nations through the Sustainable Development Goals, our collective framework for improving the lives of the world's 8.2 billion people, achieving social justice and protecting the planet. Indeed, your various initiatives in tackling climate change and nature degradation, alleviating social economic hardship and extreme poverty, as well as supporting economic empowerment program, contribute to the well-being of stakeholders, both your customers and the broader society. I love your national anthem. It's just a reflection of everything we're seeing. What you are demonstrating to the world is that sustainable development requires an integrated approach that considers both environmental concerns together with social economic developments. The work you do as Equity makes it clear that the role of private sector is key. And in this regard, as Equity Group, you're both a trailblazer, an effective player in delivering and reflecting sustainability initiatives across your various operations, first in Kenya and now in the 6 other African countries where you're present. You are leading the way to show the world that profitability and sustainability can and should go hand in hand, and that the latter is becoming a non-negotiable part of doing business. Recent studies have confirmed that there is a great realization among business leaders in Africa and in other parts of the world that sustainability alongside profitability should be core to their role. Equity Bank as a financial institution has demonstrated over the years that corporate sustainability should be about striking a balance between a company's core profitability targets and its impact on people and the planet. This was demonstrated by your national anthem. It means conducting business in a way that is ethical, responsible, and profitable through strategies and practices that contribute positively to the environment and broader society. It means integrating long-term sustainability into a company's core business and embracing a responsibility that can certainly produce greater business value in the long run. A value that extends beyond financial profit and that will positively impact future generations. Accordingly, therefore, corporate sustainability should become the norm and play a greater and more systematic role in contributing to the attainment of wealth creation, social justice, and climate mitigation. As such, transnational corporations such as Equity Group have indeed a unique opportunity and somehow a duty in countries where they operate to smooth the path to sustain business practices, as they also contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals along the primary responsibility of government in this regard. As stated by my boss, the United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, during last year's General Assembly, and I quote, "The SDGs are not just a list of goals. They carry the hopes, dreams, rights, and expectations of people everywhere. The need for action is unprecedented, not just to deliver on climate, but on economic prosperity and sustainable development. So I end up by giving my greatest appreciation to Equity Group for the work you have been doing and continue to do. I thank you all.
Thank you so much, Zaina Bangura, the Under-Secretary General and Director General of the United Nations Office here in Nairobi. Let's appreciate her one more time as she takes her seat. Thank you once again. The passion is very evident. Very fast, we have a very brief, and I really want to hope that you will indeed join us in this conversation. It's a panel discussion, and I want to invite Judy Njino to kindly join me, the Executive Director, UN Global Compact. Please put your hands together for her as she comes to the stage. Also joining us is Eliud Jogu, Youth Champion and ELPN founder of E&M Tech. Please come by here as well. Makofi tafadhali to Eliud as well. Raymond as well, the acting CEO at the Kenya Bankers Association as well. Please put your hands together for Raymond Molenje as he comes. And finally, Rosen Duati Mutero, Managing Partner at ALN Kenya. Kindly come as well. Let's appreciate her as well as she comes as well. Please, you can take the banking position. He's asking where to sit. There you go. And Rosa is right here. Dr. I'll put you on the spot because I'll be coming for your remarks as well at some point in this panel. So that at least we can have this session. Let's appreciate this panel one more time as we get ready to have this conversation. For those of you who will be asking, this guy made us clap a lot. It's because it's cold. I need you to be warm in the process. There you go. So I think there's some house rules of what to do with the microphones or that kind of thing. There you go. May I use this one? Because I want to turn like this. Excellent. Thank you. Let me first of all start with the banking sector representative here. That's Raymond. And my quick question to you will be, looking at what the banks are doing, and we're seeing equity as an example, and you've had them saying, and words have been said as trailblazers in matter sustainability. Institutions like this offer similar products, and I wanted to ask, how do you see the integration of sustainability making a differentiator?
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Maina. And so first of all, as KBA, we bring all commercial banks together, and there are 38 of them in number. So what we do is just to be able to empower, that's individuals, households, and businesses, to be able to be empowered economically, and then also we push the social angle and the environmental angle. And thanks to Equity, it's actually been leading the way in all the three facets. So this morning, also looking at Baraka, I just asked the question as to, seated here, what are our thoughts on our grandchildren, great-grandchildren, opportunities for employment, their economic wealth creation journey, and then also even our lands, as the CEO, Dr. Mwang, has said, other than just the deforestation and lands becoming dry, those lands are also disappearing. So even spaces to even put up a house are not there. So as banks, we come in, not now focused majorly on the money, but just to be able to have an impact, create a story with our customers, and then leave memories on the fact of how do we move forward. This morning, I think we might have an answer on banks and even individual levels. If we stop as Kenyans calling our economic ventures side hustles or hustles, we focus on calling them family business. We look at sustainability angle in that it needs to grow from generation to generation. We'll have a long-term view, and banks will be able to partner with us, and the financing will flow, because also we have a challenge on access to finance. But when you look at your venture as a family business, and when you get to the second generation, third generation, if a bank asks you, what experience do you have in this business? If I'm a 20-year-old, I'll actually be comfortable telling the bank I have 20 years experience. because I've worked with my parents from 5 years onwards. So that will address the challenges we have with employment, our agency challenges, and even government. Government will actually be able to get more revenue. Thank you.
Yeah, let's appreciate him. I think I'm very glad that you mentioned Gen Z, because nowadays in events, if you don't mention them, they might greet you. So it's important to be very careful with that. So Rosa, let me come to you as well, because you are very key in representing the legal fraternity. And my quick question to you was, based on your role and what you have seen as well, and from the entity and the crucial role that you play, especially in the last year's private sector declaration during the Africa Climate Summit, I saw you very vocal there, and you spoke powerfully on your role there. What have the key wins that you have seen since last year, and what more needs to be done to see sustainability, not only just on the environmental impact part, but on a holistic view and adoptive strategies as well?
Thank you, MC, and good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's really chilly here, so if you see us shaking, it's not because we are afraid of you. Anyway, just to answer your question, last year we helped to draft the private sector statement, and together with Equity, worked with other private sector players to roll out that statement. There's been a lot of development since then and a lot of strides. So we've had quite a number of companies come through, sign the statement, and the private sector working together with government. There's been a lot of changes in country and on global stage. Let me mention just 3 quick ones. One, we now have the carbon markets regulations in Kenya, and those were passed through interplay between government, regulators, and private sector. So, for example, we were heavily involved in giving comments, making sure we gather those comments from private sector and putting them forward, and they were passed through the regulations. The second thing that is, I think, of key, and especially for the banking industry, is we had the Kenya Green Finance Taxonomy, which the Central Bank of Kenya is pushing in collaboration with the European Union. Now, that is also undergoing comments from the sector, the financial sector, but also generally, and that will play also a key part in ensuring green financing, which of course is key to sustainability. The other thing, on a more global stage, we had the EU release what is called the EU Sustainability Due Diligence Requirements. Now, you may wonder why the EU requirements have anything to do with Africa, Kenya, or us sitting in Nairobi. But it will have a lot, and the trickle-down effects. If a lot of you in the room will remember how data protection used to sound like a faraway thing, and now it's all over the place. That's what this directive will do, because it will trickle down to each African business that is doing business with a company registered in the EU, whether you're exporting your services, whether you're exporting your goods. And so this requirement is very key in terms of requiring due diligence to be carried out on sustainability. Now, the second question you've asked me is what next, or what now? Steve Covey says that the important work is what lies ahead of you, not what you've done in the past. So everything we've done before is really good, but really what's important is what are we going to do now? So there's a lot of work happening in the sustainability space in very many sectors. What we can do as private sector sitting in the room is, one, I just want to mention 2 things now. We'll talk about this a bit later. One is ensuring that there's just transition. That's something that we really must ensure. And in a country such as ours, we've had discussions such as waste collectors in the slums and things like that. We need to make sure the informal sector is actually included. So us sitting pretty in a nice cafe here is good, but the millions who don't have that opportunity is who we should actually be fighting for on just transitions. The other thing is we need to be mindful as a country about the laws and regulations that we pass. And this is my last point. The reason for this is, in Kenya, sometimes laws are passed and you have no idea who read them, who passed them, who drafted them, and what impact, why nobody thought about the impact. It's a bit about maybe the corruption that we have. So, for example, the other day, there were biodegradable regulations that were passed about biodegradable bags. Now, anyone reading those regulations now is wondering, how did this see the light of day? Because the definition of biodegradable, being mindful of ensuring that it is the right calibration and the right definition, and that it helps and not take us back is really key. So it's not really good for us to be seen to be passing laws and regulations which do not have or are not mindful of sustainability.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. And we can appreciate her. Thank you so much for that. You know, and I see a lot of representatives that Daktari invited when we were doing the private sector declaration that has just been alluded to. And Daktari, I wanted to put you on the spot. As I told you, just be ready. I'll pass this microphone. Actually, we have many microphones. Pass a microphone to Daktari. And just wanted you to just give, for the ones who may have missed it, why we tried to push this. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there's a lot of sentiments that come out that globally, that even after we do this, it's non-status, and we on the global south end up not really even benefiting from this. So I want you to give your sentiments on that, on why you really pushed on this.
Thank you very much, Maina. It is true that a passive position, as Losa has alluded, will not serve anybody. Africa has not been on the table in most of these regulations or decisions. And as a result, its position is then reflected by the kind of laws, regulations that we are passing. As Equity Bank, we felt there was need to raise the African voice. And that's why we teamed up together during that conference to rally the African private sector and say, have a voice, have a presentation. And we are lucky, we saw it all the way to the UN General Assembly, so that the voice of the private sector, the view of the private sector is important. But we also later realized that there are many meetings that are held out there without us being involved. So we thought of playing a role as a thought leader. And as a result, we joined the African Private Sector Alliance. We focused on the Business Leaders Alliance. On both, I am a co-chair. Then we went to Compact. We became a member. And ultimately, SMI, we became a trustee board member. That gave us an opportunity to air the voice. As Africa rallies itself, but we couldn't speak on behalf of Africa without then getting the consent of Africa, and hence the two organs that we had to organize, so that we are doing it together. And ultimately, the issues like the one Losa has said about how it is done, the process itself, then I aired. And I think I would really ask those who have not joined the alliance really to sign up, so that we become a formidable force for good. Thank you, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Daktari. And now that is a culture, let's clap after everything. That's a good one. Yes. You know, just picking from there, and we have the UN Global Compact represented here, the CEO, Judy Njino, and you've heard from what Daktari has said. They're also signatories to you. What are you seeing, especially when it comes to the voice, especially as we call ourselves Global South? Are we being heard? Are there things happening? You represent us on the global stage. Please, if you could give us some highlight on that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Maina, MC.
Yes.
And good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Allow me to start first by applauding Equity for launching its third sustainability report. At the UN Global Compact, it's something that we truly value, to really see how business is accepting its role as a force for good in society. And coming from the world's largest corporate sustainability initiative, which the UN Global Compact is, we have a front row seat to see what the global business community can do to really advance the sustainable development agenda. And as has been rightly, spoken about this morning, Africa really is the future of the world. If we look at all the parameters that we are focusing on, whether it is issues of food security, and I think Dr. Mwangi spoke very eloquently around the opportunities that are in this continent, even the youth dividend that we currently enjoy. Really the future of the globe is in Africa. But at the same time, we are beginning to see a realization and an awakening of what business understands to be its role in society. We are moving from a place where, of course, there was this embracement of business models looking at profit maximization at whatever cost. We looked at issues of extracting, material resources, extracting labor without due concern of what these impacts would be on the social as well as the environmental scene. But we've also quickly seen that this model of business is not working, not for people, not for planet, not for business. And so it's, I think, clear, and I think we always say the business case of why sustainability matters is settled. We're no longer talking about why business needs to act. We are saying there are opportunities to act, even those tied to the bottom line at the end of the day. And so we are in a good place in terms of how the private sector in Africa is taking up the agenda, looking at our country network here in Africa being the largest in the continent as well as in the Middle East. It's testament to really how the private sector has taken up its role and being a force for good in society. But we also have to acknowledge that we do have challenges, whether we are talking about our governance deficits, the climate emergency, food insecurity. We are looking at also the disease burden. Africa still has an opportunity to see all these different dimensions that are presented by the SDGs as critical challenges. But on the other hand, on the flip side, there are business opportunities that we can actually extract from these challenges that we are currently grappling with. But it takes intentionality, it takes visionary leadership, and that's why I also have to applaud Equity for seeing that they can, move beyond the traditional ways of doing business as, a bank that just offers financial services, but one that sees opportunities across different sectors, whether you're looking at agriculture, the entrepreneurship space. How do we lift, these populations out of poverty? How do we make sure that the youth population that Africa and the global South has to deal with have the opportunities to also get their livelihoods at the end of the day. So it does require that intentionality, that visionary leadership, and actually, I would add some guts to be able to take risks across the different challenges that we are seeing playing out in the continent.
Okay, thank you so much for that. This is where we do our thing. Thank you so much for that. And I'll be coming back to you because Vision 2030, which is the goal that SDGs has put in place, is just how many years to go? Is it about 6 or so? 6. Yes, and I would want to know where are we so far, especially for us. But as well, joining us on the panel is none other than Eliud Njogu, and he's the founder of E&M Tech House. And I just wanted to give you a minute, just a quick minute to briefly tell your journey from becoming an ELP to where you are. Njogu, please.
Yeah, thank you, Maina. And,
yes.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Eliud Njogu. I'm founder and director of E&M Technology House, and also an alumnus of Equity Leadership Program of the year 2001. So I think we were the second cohort to join the program, and it's really very great work that Equity Group is doing, because if we did not join that program, I would not be here. So you can see the dream that started more than 20 years ago. It's a dream which is we are pushing on currently. And it's really, I think we need to give a round of appreciation to them and the entire Equity fraternity for what they have done. So I'm a graduate of computer science. I did a BSc in computer science from Kenyatta University. I've done consultation in IT across the African continent. I think I've done more than 19 countries, implementation of core systems. I have some experience working with the telcos, and that experience is the one which gave me the knowledge and the networks necessary to start an IT company, which we started in year 2018, focusing with the solution delivery within the banking and the financial services sector. So we have solutions across banking, across insurance, microfinances, And for this particular occasion, we are also focusing a lot on sustainable solutions, green tech, health tech, insure tech, and so on. So me being here is a manifestation that support on education is a true catalyst, transformation and empowerment, because currently we are able to employ more than 450 engineers in our hub, which is based at Tatu City. And I believe as of now we are among the largest and the biggest software hubs in East and Central Africa. So you can see how this impact can really bring transformation, because were it not for the support that we got from Equity, we would not have extended that support now we are doing to other 450 young Kenyans who are engaged in various innovations in technology, sustainability, and so on. So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for that. Let's appreciate him one more time. I want to do my final round, and then I'll invite any persons in the house to as well give a question or something of that. So now, I'm still with you, Elliot. I would like you to just give a practical example of a solution, for example, an innovative solution that you're doing at MTech that really corporates can employ in addressing and advancing sustainability. Would you care to give us one in less than a minute?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Indeed, at E&M Tech, we have quite a lot of focus on sustainability. In fact, most of our solutions are aligned to sustainability. And we know sustainable solution is the future, and the technology is actually will be the main driver for sustainability. So as of now, we have solutions spread across agriculture, which are agri-techs, how to do precision farming, how do you spray using of drone technology, how can you do scanning of vast farm crop fields to be able to identify the crops and diseases which are affecting our crops and be able to spray in a very precision manner. So we are really working towards implementing the drone technology within the agriculture. We are also focusing on smart irrigations. Okay. How can you be able to efficiently use the water resources to only spray, to only irrigate crops as and when it's needed? And all this work is being done through the help of 420 beneficiaries of ERPs who are working day and night to ensure that they come up with all these innovation. In terms of the health, we are also looking in terms of health techs. We have solutions which we can be able to track in terms of how various non-communicable diseases are prevalent in various population using wearables. Can you be able to track and see how our various key healthy performance areas, blood pressure and so on, remotely? Because when you look in terms of level 0 health cares, how do you support patients who are sick at home?
Okay.
Yeah, so we have solutions which is simple to track that.
Yeah.
And also from the perspective of energy,
yes.
Meters, smart meters, smart water meters, smart electricity meters, and so on. Okay. So those are some of the innovation we are doing at E&M Tech, among other so many solutions.
Thank you so much, Elliot. Let's appreciate Elliot with a clap. And I think what's the key take out there? It's what even sustainability is doing to create employment and to ensure that we live in sustainability. Thank you so much for that. Raymond, let me bring you on board now. And, you know, banks are doing their work, and as KBA, I know you're doing a lot to sensitize your members. So the question for me is on sustainability disclosures and what you're really doing to ensure that there's adoption of a standardized approach.
Okay. Yeah, for Kenya Bankers Association, we've been on this journey actually since 2015, but thanks to like Equity, because it began the journey quite early. So even when we began the sustainable finance guiding principles, Equity was on board to actually work with us on that particular journey. And then we cultured that across all banks. So currently we have over 50,000 bank staff that we've trained since 2015. some have left the industry and are very good ambassadors to other sectors, being able to transform that ecosystem around this particular area. And then more recently, we now have a standard template across the industry on how to measure now the climate-related financial disclosures. And this just helps banks to now be able to focus more outside the economics, focus on the social and the environmental aspects. And then central bank and other regulators are also coming in to just be able to help that ecosystem. So I look at this in that even at our own individual levels, in our small businesses, or even at individual level, everything that we do, we need to have this long-term focus. That's why I still bring you back to be able to say, at an individual level, let's look at our ventures as family businesses, which will make us have a look at how will my grandchildren be able to be part of this, how will they be employed, and how will they be able to add value within that particular ecosystem. And on that, that's the only way banks will actually be able to extend credit to us. Otherwise, remaining with our small ecosystem as small businesses, we are not very attractive to financial institutions. And when we become weak or when we move to the next world, our businesses die. But we need to really sustainably be able to look at how we work on our ventures long term. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. In the house as well, we have the chairman of the NSC, and I would like a microphone pressed to him. He's right here, because you're also part and parcel of the organizations that are pushing for accountability, disclosures, and all that. In a minute, would you care to marry what he's talking about, disclosures and everything else, and what we're doing at the NSC?
Yeah. Thank you very much. I'd just like to start by lauding Equity Bank under the visionary leadership of Dr. Mwang for this wonderful job that they are doing. At the NSC, one of the things that we are doing is working closely with our regulator, the Capital Markets Authority, to ensure that there isn't any greenwashing taking place. So we're trying to work on developing a standard of measuring the levels of compliance. And I think for me, the greater challenge beyond that is how we can cascade this conversation to the small and medium-sized enterprises and even to the micro enterprises, for them also to appreciate the importance of sustainability. We've been on a roadshow recently across many of the leading cities of the world, and it's incredible how much the conversations around investing are informed by sustainability conversations. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's appreciate the chairman as well with a clap. Dr. Mwang, you still have the mic? I just had that mentioned, and just in less than a minute, you are one of the leaders when it comes to sustainable financing and also helping entrepreneurs. Are you helping them as well do things sustainably?
Yeah, thank you very much. There are three levels at which you can operate on sustainability. What you are doing for yourself, what you are doing with your partners, and what you are doing with your entire ecosystem. So for equity, it's what does Equity Group does for sustainability? What does it partner with its suppliers, vendors to achieve? And what is it doing with its 21 million customer base to bring sustainability? So it is that perspective that one really needs to see, that when we talk about sustainability for equity, the biggest impact is at level 3, which is at the ecosystem level. Let's take, for instance, the small-scale farmers. Last year, IFC ranked us out of 298 financial institutions in the world. We were the bank with the highest number of loans for mitigation and sustainability loans or transactions. So that's how big we have gone. But it's not just the loans themselves, it's the capacity building and mitigation efforts that you do. Carry along the people from knowledge. But the biggest impact we at the moment are having is in DLC, where you work with the mining companies. And because the mining companies have resources, what they have been lacking is the knowledge of how to do mining sustainably. So there you can have a very significant impact, because you just need 20 big companies and you have covered 80% or 90% of the entire mining industry. And then you create a checklist, will not read it to you unless you are compliant with this protocol. Exactly what the chairman of NSC and KBA have talked about. Have your own operational guidelines and regulations, and condition credit to compliance.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the one who remembered that style that we agreed on. It's one way of keeping warm. Judy, let me come to you on these final questions. And I already alluded to what I wanted to ask you, because you have a vision. We have been pushing this, SDGs. You have heard what Daktari is saying, localizing our own solutions and all that. Where are we, and what will be your closing?
Yeah, simply, we are not on track to deliver on these goals over the next 6 years, unfortunately. And it doesn't help matters that the world has also, faced a number of setbacks, whether it's the ongoing crisis, the many wars, both in the West as well as here in the continent, the COVID-19 pandemic, and quite a number of shocks like the climate emergency. So where we are at now is really to look at strategies, business strategies, but also government approaches to how we can accelerate, or at the very least try and reverse a lot of the lost gains that we've encountered this far. If we look at issues around inequalities are widening by the day. I've already alluded to, and I think the conversations around climate, it's everywhere. We know we are living it. And so what we are seeing and where we see the opportunities are for business to accelerate action. And I like what Dr. Mwang has said, because it goes beyond just the business itself, the four walls, and managing your internal operations. It also means now beginning to think, how do we partner at scale? Partner within the business ecosystem, but with governments, with civil society, because the breadth of the issues we are currently grappling with, no one sector can solve them. But all is not lost. I believe even with the UN Secretary General calls to action around some of the critical challenges that we are facing, I think if we take heed, we still have a very small gap to really do something about it. And I think we can do that, really tapping on the role and the capacity of the private sector, being a key segment of society that can drive critical tipping points across the different issues that we are currently facing. So really it's a call to action for businesses to be intentional, to move beyond their short-termism, focus on maximizing profit here and now, but looking at also the SDGs as the world's best business plan, because there are opportunities. And for those forward-thinking companies that are already taking advantage of them, I think they can attest. And I think Equity is one of those that can firmly say it does make businesses to try and solve the world's most pressing challenges. Yeah.
Rosa, finally, is it a policy integration issue, especially for the corporates, as Judy is saying, for us to at least escalate really what we need to integrate? Or what do you see for us to be at a better negotiation table from a legal perspective?
I like you've asked about being at the negotiation table, because the first thing you need to do is be at the table. The saying says that if you are not at the table, you are on the table. And people are having you for breakfast. So being at the table is very important. But the other thing is around capacity building, which Dr. Mwang has talked about. And we found in the work that we have done that there is dire lack of capacity and the right form of capacity. We started, we'd always done sustainability work through our clients and our client work. And for example, we did the Lake Turkana wind power. It was the largest geothermal power, wind power project in sub-Saharan Africa. And we thought we were doing our bit. And then, very surprisingly, by doing a pro bono transaction for a client called Flip Floppy, we started getting involved in plastics. And then the Africa Climate Summit came, and we decided to attend, and we were worried about the quality of the drafting. And we thought we draft in our sleep. So why can't we help with that? And that's how we partnered with Equity at that time to draft the private sector alliance statement, the private Africa Climate Summit statement, and then worked with KEPSA and all these organizations. And when we started doing that, we realized each of us has a lot of capacity, But by putting it together, that's when it actually really ignites and gets fire. Yeah? And so that is actually really important. And there is currently the plastics treaty that is being done, global plastics treaty. We started to attend the Inc. Because it was here in Nairobi. And we sent some of our associates there and our head of business development. And they came back and said, our Kenyan government needs help in terms of the capacity, the drafting, the research, and what is it that we should be doing. And we quickly talked around ourselves, talked to the Rwanda REMA, whom we had also been working with. And before we knew it, we had even more participation on that table. So being on the table and capacity building is actually very, very important. The other thing that private sector can push for is to realize that not everyone is in the same place in the world. And we need not to be shy to say that we are not as developed as other nations and countries are. And so to be allowed that in the journey of sustainability, it is done at a pace which recognizes our position as Africa. I think that's also really key for us to do. The last part, of course, is financing. Financing is really important, but where does the funding come from, and how do we build credibility? That's why, for example, the carbon markets regulations was important, so that we ensure we show projects that are worth funding, and that there is no greenwashing and some of these things that really bring us down, so that we do not attract the right funding. So that is also quite critical in that journey, working together.
Thank you so much for that. Let's appreciate my panelists. But I just wanted to see in the house, if you were born between 1997 onwards, of course, Baraka is still around. Just check in. Please put your hand up if you were born between 1997 and up. Yeah, I can only see one hand. Okay. Just check in whether Gen Zs are represented. It's important that we have that. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I think I will give Elliot the last word on that. But before then, do we have anybody who has a contribution or a question that you have to the panelists? I have room for two, because I have about 3 minutes or so. Anybody? If you shoot your hand up, the mic will come. Baraka has a question. Wait, you better. Yes, there you go. Yeah, there are even 2 mics coming your way. Yeah, go ahead.
How do banks provide sustainability for us as children? Because the other day we went to Langata Primary and the children weren't there. We wanted to plant trees, and then we asked what's the problem. Although the children had paid their school fees, the problem was lack of food. And how do you come up on that?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I don't know. I think, Dr. You might start then banks. Okay, I don't know. How does it go? Dr. Please go ahead.
Wow, Baraka. How do banks provide for sustainability? Ideally, it's good you have talked about children, and children are under the custodians of their parents and guardians. So what banks do is to work very closely with the parents. One, to provide opportunities for the children. For instance, in Equity Bank, every beginning of term, and you talked about school fees, we support about 700,000 families to pay school fees. Small loans that really allow the children to remain in school. Of course, we work very closely with the parents. Like we said, those in rural areas, in agricultural areas, how do we fund the rural farmers to produce more so that they can grow for the market and get their children not only food, but also pay school fees. For those in urban centers, how do we support the micro, the small enterprises that provides households to the families so that the families can take care of their children? So that is, and lastly, I'm sure you know this year, Equity was the platinum financier of the musical festivals. We want to interact, we want to inspire and preach the gospel so that children become the ambassadors of sustainability. Of the 35 million trees we have planted in partnership with 2,200 schools. So we are working with the children so that we build the culture at a very early age. I hope I can join you in planting one of these weekends. We increase your number of trees. Thank you very much.
All right, there you go. Thank you so much, Dr. You're the man. So what would you say in less than a minute to Baraka?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dr. Mwang has been able to perfectly respond to that. So what I'll just say for Baraka is that is 1 times 38. That's what we're going to do.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I don't know whether there's any other hand. I had room for one. Oh, okay. Yes, please pass the microphone. And then yes, there you go. The mic is there.
Thank you very much. It's not a question. It's just to make a statement. I'm sorry if I have to stand. My name is Zainab Bangura.
Yeah.
What's the lady said? Be on the table. Somebody said at the banquet table there are no reserved seats. If you don't find a space on the table, you'll be on the menu. And so for the private sector, for everybody, I think it's extremely important to understand the world is going through a huge transition equivalent to the Industrial Revolution. And I think Africa, you will not be invited. You have to fight for a seat. Why do you fight for a seat? You are the youngest population. You have the largest number of landscapes, somebody said. You have the largest abundance of minerals. So people will come and just chew it. You don't want to be exporter. You want to produce your own mineral. That's point number 1. Point number 2, I have been foreign minister of my country. Together with my activism, I've traveled about 87 countries around the world, all the 5 continents. This is my 3rd time in the UN. I was in New York with my brother when he was there. After 5 years, I decided to go home. And I went home, I had a shock of my life. 5 years in New York. And I just realized I come from Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is not working. And I said to myself, Jesus Christ, Africa were left behind. You know, I said, no way. There's no way Africa can make it. There's no way. I got to woken up, thanks to my brother. They gave me 2 days notice to come to Kenya. I negotiated and had a week. I arrived, and then I realized there's another Africa that works. Actually, like what she said, we're at different stages of development in Africa. But Kenya is a leader. You can't take it for granted. You know, I said my office, the ambassador knows, we're UN. We pay salaries, provide services, HR, finance in 168 countries around the world from Kenya. From Kenya, the UN. We have the only UN headquarters in Africa and the global south. We have the biggest UN company in the world. Kenya has a lot, but don't take it for granted. You have to fight for it. You know, because as you sit as I sit in my office, you look. I was telling my brother James, when UN was open here, we had 300 staff. Today, I'm responsible for 20,000 people. And they're coming every day. Kenya has an opportunity, but what is finally, before I say, when you are first in the race, even the man who comes last is looking to catch up with you.
Yes.
So it means Kenya, and listening to what Equity Bank is saying, it means they are the leader, they are a trailblazer. Every sector of Kenyan society, be it, I was so happy what my sister was saying when they sat down and looked at the plastic, treaty. They accepted that we have to help our country. That's what being a patriotic is. Because Kenya has to lead. The UN habitat that is putting this treaty together is in Kenya. The UN environment, UNEP. So if Kenya doesn't play its part, somebody is going to take that secretariat to go out in their country. Kenya will not host the secretariat. So what do you do to make sure the plastic pollution secretariat is based in Kenya? It's by helping the lawyers, helping the governments of Kenya to take the lead. So you have a lot of work ahead, and I hope, I'm saying this for those of you who are here, Kenyans, to know that in my country they say, you tie your wrapper. Kenyans have to tie the men put their belt, the women their skirts, and say, we will continue to lead. And you have to. There's no option. Failure is an orphan. Success has many parents. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. My goodness. I was about to give my panelists a parting shot, but you have parted for them. So if you could kindly stand so that you can have a moment of a photo. And I want to request the other panelists, Dr. please come join because of the records that this was happening. Yes, anybody who has spoken is a panelist. So, Chairman, please somehow just join in this picture as well, Wanjera as well. Please come by. Yes, Chairman, come by here. We want to take that picture. And in a very warm way, appreciate you for doing this. And Baraka will be at the center. Baraka, somehow make sure you are in between the banks that you ask the question. Somehow there, There you go. There you go. Chairman, yes. There you go. This is where we smile looking at the real camera. It's this guy. That guy. Yes. That one. There you go. Thank you so much for that. You may have your seats. I can assure everybody in the house, let's appreciate them with a clap as they take their seats. I can assure everybody in the house that we are still on time, and at 10:30 on the dot, as the program will say, we'll be out of here. I wanted to pass the microphone to AFDB because Somorin is here, and you're the one who gives a lot of funding to these issues. I don't know why you are hiding. You were looking down every time I was trying to look at you. But let's appreciate Somorin in the house from AFDB. Thank you so much for coming as well. Now, Oscar Njuguna was introduced right here, and because we are just about to get the moment to launch our sustainability report, I want to request him to kindly come here. Oscar, yeah, he's right here, and he has, as you noticed, was welcomed and baptized well, but he's going to tell us about some of the highlights of the report we are going to do there to launch in just a few minutes. Welcome, Oscar.
Thank you very much. Yes. Asante sana Maina. Good morning, everyone. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today. What I'm going to do, as Maina mentioned, is just go through some of the highlights in the report, the work that's been done, the great work that's been done by the team, and obviously you saw Reshma earlier on. So I'm just going to give you some of the highlights before we unveil the report. And of course, there'll be some hard copies available for you as you leave. So as mentioned, this is the third sustainability report. And the focus is obviously largely on the continued strategic efforts that have been made by the bank since the launch of the first report. The report obviously complies with the global reporting, the GRI standards that are required by the Nairobi Securities Exchange. It also complies with the TCFD standards that are required by the Central Bank of Kenya. And finally, this year, the report also complies with the Task Force on Nature Financial Disclosures because we are now focusing on nature. It's a key part of the strategic priorities for the bank. So the first key message that you'll find in the report is around the importance of leadership and governance in the sustainability journey. One of the highlights over the past couple of years was the establishment of the Group Board Sustainability Committee that oversees sustainability across the group. And recently, a management level sustainability committee was established in order to facilitate better coordination across the group. Also, as we mentioned earlier by Dr. Mwang, the Africa Recovery and Resilience Plan is key as a strategic vision for the group. And so you will see in the report how sustainability is weaved into the plan, and in particular under the fifth pillar, which is the social and environmental transformation pillar. It also cuts through all the other pillars, but it has its own sort of standalone pillar. As I mentioned, nature and climate have been key to the growth of the vision, and a key focus during the year has been the emerging importance of the standards around nature. We've been chosen to be an early adopter of TNFD, as I mentioned, which is reflecting the focus of the bank. And Dr. mentioned earlier, one of the statistics around the disbursement by the bank. If you look at the data that was mentioned in the report by IFC, we have distributed over 47,000 climate-related disbursements to households that were totaling over 24 billion shillings. And that was across climate adaptation, water efficiency, energy efficiency, and renewable energy. In terms of risk management, one of the key highlights during the year was the revision of the group environment and social risk management framework to incorporate nature within the framework. And we also undertook for the first time a biodiversity and nature risk assessment of key mining and agriculture sectors. And these are the sectors that tend to be more susceptible to nature risks. And so through the implementation of the framework, the group has been able to support customers to avoid possible interruptions that arise through environmental damage. And so we are helping the customers to identify material risks from the environment and social to their businesses, and also advise them on how better to manage those risks. On the social engine, there's obviously a big piece in the report about the Equity Group Foundation and the key achievements made during the year. And in particular, this year, there's a focus on the innovation and technology pillar, which the foundation is focusing on, to work with startups and to enable startups to drive the transformation that will really be required for changing in the continent. On economic resilience and empowerment, that's a key component for the foundation as well. And there is data in the report that cuts across the work that the bank has been doing on supporting micro and small and medium enterprises. And to date, over 500,000 MSMEs have been trained in entrepreneurship, and over 2.4 million women and youth have been empowered with financial skills. Finally, on the advocacy that the group has been doing with respect to sustainability, there is a lot of information in the report around the work on an engagement with the Africa Climate Summit at the United Nations General Assembly, with the Building Bridges Foundation in Switzerland. So there's quite a lot of information in there on the advocacy piece. And then finally, looking forward, there is some information in there around the areas that we have focused on. So embedding ESG factors within the operational and lending practices. This is going to be key to how we move forward with the group. Continuing to strengthen and aligning sustainability and governance in emerging regulatory standards like the IFRS disclosure standards is something that we need to focus on for the coming year. Improving our own environmental footprint and impact is going to be key. And so we are looking at getting more data and analytics around energy, water, and waste, and other operational processes. And then finally, it's important to have a workforce that is well armed and well educated on this. And so training and awareness and capacity building for all cadres of employees across the group is going to be key. So I hope that gives you a high-level summary of what to expect in the report. And all this work has been done by a great team, of which I'm very grateful to be joining. And so thank you very much to the team and all our partners here. And we look forward now to the unveiling of the report. And back to you, Maina.
Thank you so much, Oscar, and we appreciate you for the highlights. It's the moment now we're waiting for, and I have to warn you in advance, because of sustainability issues, you cannot come to the forest with gunpowder and start doing things and then start a fire. I'm just saying, you know. So we are going to expect something different. And I want to request Daktari to kindly come close to the screen. That will be our place of watching, so everybody will be watching something here on the screen. So Daktari, also Chairman, Professor, if you could kindly come as well. And our guests who have spoken, so please come as well. Wanjera as well, be here. Zainab as well. And I also want to request the Baraka in a special way. Come right here. You're representing the generations. And we also have Ambassador, if you could kindly come. We also have in the house the Ambassador of Switzerland, if you could kindly as well join in this viewer sort of movie-like. So this is where we shall be. Yes. Yeah, come right here, because we're all going to watch the launch live there. Yes, this is Gen Alpha. Yes, Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha, absolutely. So I believe we are all here. Excellent. I heard that the ambassador for Switzerland is around. If you're here, you could kindly as well make it to the front. There you go. Excellent. I think we're good. Great. So, tech team. In a nice way, so all eyes should be there. We are ready for you for the launch, and I want to request that once we are done, we will applaud after it is done. So over to you, Tech Team. Thank you. Let's appreciate one more time. Beautiful. Well done. So I want to request our guests to kindly line up here for the photo session, especially for the media. So please, Daktari, if you could kindly lead the team right here. I think we have some copies that will be brought to you for the sake of the photo ops. Yes. Today, Generation Alpha is well represented. I can see that. So we're going to have some copies for the sake of the photos there. And for our guests, some of us are going to get some copies on your way out, and we'll also be able to download it online from the website. So we're going to have a photo moment right here, so that at least we can have that. This is where we request the photographers to tell us, are we okay? You'd like something done? Yes. This man is from CNN. Please, what do you want? So keep that background text, that's what he has asked. That one, don't move it again. There you go. We have to tell the world. So one step this way. Yeah. There you go. So please make sure you smile and look at the man from CNN. I'll appreciate them with a clap, please, to help them smile better. There you go. Well done. Well done. Very good. Very good. Is everybody smiling well? Oh, Baraka has the best smile, I think. We will see it in the photos. And thank you so much for that. Are we good? I can see these consultations. One more thing. Okay, I hold it? Okay. Okay, shrink it a bit. Yes. Okay, this man, have you sent my people away?
Yes. Don't worry.
No, I'm told don't go. I'm told don't go. No, I'm told don't go yet. Yes. Look here first. Okay, excellent. And then our final one. Okay, now come back. One more final time. Yes, I was just checking. I didn't have the memo yet. So there you go. Is that good? Oh, sorry, I've been told, could you move to the other side as well, just for the sake of, the other end. Yes, there you go. That's the balance. I'm told balance. There you go. Yes. Excellent. Yes, are we good now? Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Just the chair and CEO? Oh, excellent. Yes, just the two of you. Yes. This is by deduction. There you go. Yes, well done. Yes. Let's take that now. Thank you so much. And even as we're taking that, we're going to get closing remarks from Professor. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
I see that according to Shege's program, I have barely half a minute, Shege. But before I make my comments, I would like to appreciate board members of Equity Bank, wherever you are. Could you just please, Equity Group, could you just stand for a minute? Because you've been very instrumental in the journey. All board members of Equity Group, Equity Bank, the subsidiaries, can you please join? Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. You may sit. Dear partners, distinguished guests, members of the Fourth Estate, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed my great honor this morning, on behalf of the board and management of Equity Group, to thank you most sincerely for being with us today on this very important and special day. It is my hope that though it has been a chill morning, both the cup of coffee that you have taken and the conversation that we have had, and you being in the presence of these distinguished people that take sustainability very seriously, that has warmed your heart the way it has warmed my heart. Indeed, birds of one feather flock together. So I know that we are all birds of one feather. We are people who take sustainability very seriously. Over the last 40 years, Equity Group's business model was anchored on the twin engine of social and commercial approach, or economic approach. With the launch of this report today, we are committing ourselves to a tri-engine business model. And you can see there is social, commercial, and sustainability. But what is most important for us is this, that these engines are equally important. None is more important than the other one. Think about the African stool, the three-legged African stool. If you shorten just one of the legs, the stool wobbles. It becomes unstable. We are very, very conscious of that. And that is why we are making a commitment today. First, to promote environmentally friendly business operations, including energy efficiency, water and waste reduction in all our offices and branches. Second, we commit to the continuous improvement of our business approach and our market offerings to ensure that they reflect the best practices for environmental, social, and governance criteria, and for the stewardship of our natural resources, especially in Africa. And this includes offering sustainable finance, credit, and investment products as we continue our long-term standing practice of promoting financial inclusion, mainstreaming stringent ethical standards for all our operations, and being a responsible employer. Thirdly, we recognize that deepening sustainability cannot be achieved by any single institution. Our strategic ambition which is envisioned in the group's Africa Recovery and Resilience Plan, aims to achieve long-term transformation of the continent and requires the support and participation of diverse stakeholders, namely all of you. And together we can foster positive corrective action. We strongly believe that deepening sustainability is critical for the long-term health of our group, as sustainable institutions are a better place to thrive and create value for all stakeholders in the long term. Above all, as a systemically important integrated financial services institution in most of the countries that we operate, we understand the power and the influence we are entrusted with in the economic systems and activities we engage in. And we take our responsibility to promote sustainability very seriously. In this journey, we invite all of you to further your collaboration with us as we journey to create the future we want and the future our young people deserve. We at Equity Bank subscribe to the African proverb that if you want to walk fast, walk alone. If you want to walk far, walk together. And we want to walk far, and we invite you. We assure you, as Equity Bank, we value partnerships and collaborations above all, because we couldn't be where we are without your support. Once again, let me repeat that we feel very honored for your presence this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Isaac. Thank you so much for really taking us through the vote of thanks. We at Equity, as he has said, feel very honored to have everybody here. And I want to request that we appreciate some of our key guests with some gifts, as you can see them here, and then we will all depart at our own pleasure. So I want to request Dr. kindly come as we appreciate some of the guests that have spoken here. And without really any protocols, I want to request that our guests come by here. Zainab, kindly, if you could kindly come as well. Wanjera, we will just take a quick gift one at a time. And Chairman, I'll also call you to help Dr. at some point with some of these gifts so that at least we can do that. Baraka, come right here so that at least you can be appreciated on this. So photographers, I hope you can do this very fast, just one at a time. Just come. Yes, there you go. There you go. Yes. Thank you so much, Zainab. So there you go. Baraka, go ahead now. Go ahead and take one for the many. There you go. Thank you so much. Wanjera as well. Please, if you could kindly take that as well. Well done. Well done for that. My panelists, kindly. Judy, please come by. We want to also appreciate you. My panelists, if you could kindly come so that at least we can appreciate you with some of the gifts. Chairman, please come by so that at least we can be part and parcel of this. Judy is right there. Of course, Eliud, Raymond, and you could kindly as well come over and receive some of these gifts. Rosa, if you're still around, please come as well and receive that. Thank you so much for that moment. There you go. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. Chairman, kindly as well, Chairman of the NSC, if you could kindly as well take that. And absolutely, Ambassador, kindly as well, come by here. And please, with the powers vested in me, I've been asked to pick any random person as well to receive one. I don't know who should I pick, but because someone is dressed in a very unique way today, please come by, sir, and receive a gift. Yeah, thank you so much. Let's appreciate him with a clap. Thank you for empowering me to choose. Yes, please. Yes. Welcome, welcome. There you go. There you go. Excellent. And the colors speak for themselves. There you have it. Yeah, yeah.